Pickle! Hit the air raid sign. It's time for Monday Morning Fallout. Monday Morning Fallout. When we overreact to the football weekend, good, we're going to run the intro again.
We just like the siren. I personally like the siren.
You just need a drop.
Yep.
A lot to get to from this weekend. Let's start with my opening thought. It feels different now.
All right.
Part of it is certainly the weather, right?
Yeah.
It's not a bajillion degrees outside.
Which rules?
Which is great. I think everybody agrees. Very good development here. But over the course of the evening on Friday night especially, I think in the games that we were paying the most attention to, you could tell that there were higher stakes.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a palpable sense of intensity that we haven't necessarily seen so far this year in a number of games. I thought Longview and Forney, which ended up being just a knockdown, drag-out, Singapore cane street fight.
With a mechanical bull. Felt
intense. I thought Klein Collins and Tomball Memorial felt very intense.
It did.
Over the course of the evening. There were a number of those games that you could feel the weight of those games. Right? I think that if you go out to, I thought that on Thursday night, Summer Creek and North Shore.
There was definitely,
that was a playoff atmosphere.
Yes.
That was a playoff atmosphere that very clearly meant a lot to those teams. Same thing on Thursday night. I thought Graham and Wichita Falls Hershey pulls off the upset. I thought there was that playoff intensity there. You had those games across the state that I think really drove home that it's go time now.
Bridgeland and Cy Falls was another one on Thursday night.
Bridgeland and Cy Falls felt different. Cherokee and Richland Springs felt different. Now we're getting into the meat of it. There's basically no more district games. There are some there's some like weird one-off district game, like non-district games in six-man football this week. I was looking this up. And then like the private school ranks has some non-district games. Other than that, every game from here on out matters and really means something. And I think you could feel that on Friday night and on Thursday night and on Saturday. That's my opening thought. Game of the week. Avert your eyes, Longhorns fans, but it was Oklahoma 34, Texas 30.
Man.
As a neutral, right? As somebody who just covers the team.
That game rolled. That
game was awesome.
Like, the first 10 minutes were so exhilarating. It was a blast.
That was a wild ride.
Like, that's what you want from...
Absolutely.
Texas fans loved the 49-0 last year. Do not get me wrong. It was fun to watch a team be that dominant. But fumbles in the end zone, kickoff return, like all of that in the first 10 minutes, that's
big
what
plays,
the Red River rivalry should be.
Haymakers, and everyone pulling out all the stops.
Yep.
It's funny because I think the numbers are going to show that Texas was probably the better overall team on Saturday. But I also, because I think the numbers are going to show that, but over the course of the game, I thought that Oklahoma demonstrated more game control than Texas did.
Their defense. It was just coaching. I really think it was coaching at the end of the stretch.
Their defense, I think, really was impressive. I thought Dylan Gabriel played the game of his life, and they came up with the big plays when it mattered. I thought Texas got exposed in a couple of big weaknesses. Specifically, I think that their secondary was not as good as it should have been. And I think I think Oklahoma had a great game plan in that game. Now, I think if you're a Texas fan, it's all still in front of you.
Oh,
win out. If they win out, right, they'll probably get another shot at Oklahoma at AT&T Stadium. And if they win that game, they're probably in the playoff. Nothing's lost here. The only thing that was lost is your margin for error. But arguably, if they were going to drop a game to somebody else...
Oh, you might as well make it Oklahoma in a recognized rivalry game than to drop a Kansas State game, you know?
Exactly. it was a spectacular game. And
It was fun
I
to
know
watch.
Longhorns fans are smarting from it, but if you're a college football fan, it's undeniably the game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Am I overreacting? Is Houston deeper than DFW this year?
Oh, I think easily.
When I take a look over the just writ large about these particular teams or in these particular regions, because I think that's ultimately what it always boils down to, right? Is like, there's always the DFW versus Houston. DFW won, of course, the 3 state championships last year in 6, all 4 state championships, I should say, in 6A and 5A, right? And then, so DFW's kind of had the crown. And admittedly, Duncanville, Aledo, Melissa, DeSoto, South Lake Carroll, South Cliff, Toller, put Toller in that mix, right? North Crowley. There's good teams. I think the depth belongs to Houston, though.
Yeah.
Okay? 21-6A alone. North Shore, Atascocita, Summer Creek, who really showed out, and C.E. King. Houston Lamar, Klein Collins, Dickinson, Fulshear, Montgomery Lake Creek, Katy, Willis, Fort Bend Hightower, Katy Jordan, Magnolia, Fort Bend Ridgepoint, Iowa Colony. I think that Houston is where, I'm not here to tell you that Houston's going to win all the state championships. What I'm here to tell you is that there's better depth in Houston than in DFW this year.
I think it's very fair to say that DFW has the 1s and possibly the 2s, but Houston's 3 through 4 or 5s are insane.
The depth in Houston is remarkable. DFW probably has the most number of elites.
Yes.
Right?
1v1.
Yeah.
DFW probably still is winning that fight. But
Duncanville versus North Shore right now, I'd probably take Duncanville.
Yeah, but 3 through 4.
But the depth, the more you dive deep, Houston's got the edge there. It's time for the Dudes Rock Dude of the Week, where we celebrate a dude who rocked over the course of the weekend in the Dudes Rock Dude of the Week. Get your dudes in at #DudesRock. Our Dudes Rock Dude of the Week is a dude who rocked
record
in the way that only dudes can. It's Clyde quarterback Blake Carr. We might just need to rename this segment to Large Bills Only because Blake Carr, in their matchup with previously unbeaten Vernon, goes 8 of 15 for 186 yards and 4 touchdowns passing. So half of his completions went for touchdowns. And then he also carried the ball 22 times for 363 yards and 5 touchdowns.
I started trying to put his stat line in the lower third, and then I quickly realized it was not going to fit.
9 total touchdowns, more than 500 yards of total offense. Blake Carr, Clyde quarterback, the Dudes Rock Dude of the Week. Now it's time for Tepper's Play of the Week. I appreciate you sending in your plays at Tepper on Twitter. And we got a good one here. So Pearsall was in an absolute dogfight with Carrizo Springs in a district game. I want to say it was their district opener. Pearsall's been off to a really good start. A team that kind of came out of nowhere. We were really impressed with. They were pretty sizable favorites over Carrizo Springs, but give Carrizo Springs a ton of credit. They hung in. The Wildcats were right into it, and they were lining up. The game tied on the final snap of the game, on the final snap of regulation, to win the ball game with a field goal until Pearsall pulled out a little bit of magic. Ultra rare blocked field goal return for a game-winning touchdown from Pearsall. The Mavericks get a critical District 14 for a Division II win, and
my favorite
heart-stopping.
My favorite part of that video was when the camera person panned to the right, and there was the one guy with the Pearsall flag just taken off out of the back of the end zone.
Incredible stuff. My play of the week.
So good.
Quick break for a hot take.
Spicy.
Jimbo Fisher coaches kind of scared.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he coached scared in A&M's loss to Alabama. There were a number of times in which I think he had an opportunity to really put the hammer down and to really say, all right, we're going to take command of this game. Specifically, I mean, he went for it a couple times on fourth down, but there was a time specifically with into the fourth quarter where Alabama, is that right? Yeah. It was into the fourth quarter, and he ends up punting on 4th and 1. 4th and 1 from the Alabama 45. It's tied at 17 at this point. Alabama's come back to take the lead. Alabama 45. It's 4th and 1. They had 3rd and 2. Le'Veon Moss gets a yard. It's 4th and 1 at the Alabama 45. And Jimbo Fisher punts. In the postgame, he was asked about this. And the quote was, I want to make sure we get this. Texags had the quote, and I want to make sure I credit them. His quote was, where did I go? I put it in the Slack. Can't find it. Okay. Jimbo Fisher on punting on 4th and 1 at the 45. The score was 17-17. We had it 3rd and 2, but then it was 4th and 1. Fisher said if A&M had 4th and less than a yard, he probably would have gone for it. So you trust your team to get 15 inches, but you don't trust your team, or 18 inches, but you don't trust your team to get 36. Here's what I'm hearing from Jimbo Fisher when he says that. You guys had an opportunity to get 2 yards on 3rd down.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky I didn't punt on 3rd down. I know you can't get this yard. That is, in my opinion, coaching scared. You're playing Alabama at home. And by the way, the tide, so to speak, has swung now into Alabama's favor. They are on the good foot. I thought Jimbo Fisher, his conservative play calling and his conservative, he's not calling plays, right? But I thought that his conservative attitude in that game cost him an opportunity to take command of an SEC West that may never, well, I mean, the division's going away now. It was never that winnable as it was this year. I think that falls on the head coach, quite frankly. Time for my of the week. Odessa 49, Odessa Permian 42 in overtime.
Yeah.
Permian had won 9 straight over the Broncos. Permian had won 9 straight, but Odessa, in their little Southwest Conference opener, throws a haymaker and suddenly throws everything into a little bit of chaos there in District 2 6A. I mean, they announced their arrival, right? Midland, Legacy, and Odessa are now undefeated in district.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Permian's got Legacy this week.
Not a cakewalk.
And they still got to play Friendship. It's pretty good. Still got to play Midland. Odessa really took it to them, and I was very impressed with them. The computer had Permian by 19.
Yeah, it was not supposed to be close.
But Odessa, the Broncos, Coach Dusty Ortiz, signature win for them. Nice little win for Odessa, and certainly my of the week. Now it's time for my wild stat of the week. Coach Jake Fizzell at Gunner. I don't know if you saw what they did.
Certified good coach.
I don't know if you saw what they did.
Yeah, I think I missed this one.
Gunner beat Bells 64-6.
Holy cow.
State-ranked Bells. The win was the 200th win for Coach Jake Fizzell. Congratulations to Coach Jake Fizzell. He joins the 200-win club. He is now tied for the 3rd fastest coach to get to 200 wins. He's 229. The only 2 people who got to 200 wins faster than him were Gary Joseph at Katy. Mm-hmm. Bless you.
Thank you.
And Jerry Burkhart at Richland Springs. The only 2 people to get to 200 wins quicker in fewer than 229 games. Here's my wild stat of the week. Jake Fizzell reached 200 wins in 229 games. The same number of games that it took Scott Surratt to reach 200 wins.
Mm-hmm.
So,
time to start having a conversation.
Update. I know he doesn't have the rings, but he's got the dubs.
Yep.
Keep an eye on that. Congratulations to Jake Fizzell on win number 200. Now it's time for the Matt Step. He got that dog in him. Player of the week.
And now, the Matt Step. He got that dog in him. Player of the week.
Hey y'all, it's Matt Step and Dave Campbell's Texas Football here at DFW Airport. I'm headed to Canada for Thanksgiving, but I can't leave without announcing the Week 7 Matt Step He Got That Dog in Him award winner. And the winner of this week's Matt Step He Got That Dog in Him award is none other than Everman running back Caden Brooks. Caden had 207 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns in Everman's big 35-19 win on Thursday night over Arlington Seguin. Congrats, Caden. You, sir, have got that dog in you.
Congratulations to Caden Brooks of Everman, this week's winner of the Matt Step. He got that dog in him Player of the Week.
You might say he's got that bulldog in him.
You have my attention, Richland Springs. Remember them? Remember when Richland Springs was like the dominant force in 6-man football?
You heard of this, Kev?
Well, they're back. Knocked off Cherokee, state-ranked unbeaten rival Cherokee, 40-32 on Friday night, to vault back into that statewide conversation. They're on a new coach. Sean Rogers is the head coach because Jerry Burkhart's suspended. But they're rolling right now. They're undefeated. Another big game this week against unbeaten Rochelle, but they're going to be favored in that one. It's time to pay attention to Richland Springs again. They are back. Get excited for Columbus at Hitchcock.
This rules.
We'll get to the rankings here in a moment. I will tell you this is a state-ranked matchup of unbeatens and a really intriguing matchup of playmakers at the 3A level. This game is popcorn-worthy. Get your popcorn ready for Columbus and Hitchcock.
I think I might have a stomach ache on Friday and have to stay home so I can make my way down the Hitchcock.
Yeah, you might have to. Keep an eye on that one, Columbus and Hitchcock. Final thought. A spectacular week in San Antonio ahead.
Let's go.
I was getting ready for the week and just starting my game prep for for week 8. And one thing that I suddenly started noticing is, boy, it's kind of a kick-ass week in San Antonio this week. It is. There are a lot of really, really good games down there in the Alamo City. Most notably, San Antonio Reagan and San Antonio Johnson, matchup of unbeatens. San Antonio Harlandale and San Antonio Alamo Heights, matchup of unbeatens. I'm really intrigued by Bernie Champion and San Antonio Wagner. If you include Gonzales into San Antonio, which your mileage may vary, but Cuero and Gonzales is a lot of fun. Schertz Clemens and Converse Judson, I know that those are not too, the records aren't great, but there's a lot on the line there. It's big bragging rights to go on there. Sotomayor and Taft is a critical district matchup. Burbank and Jefferson's a critical district matchup. This is a nice little spicy week in San Antonio. So if you're in the Alamo City, there's no excuse to stay home. It's a big week in San Antonio. That's my final thought, and that is Monday Morning Fallout. Hey, thanks for watching this clip here on YouTube. If you like this kind of stuff and you want more of it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember, you can watch us live every weekday at noon at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, or here on YouTube. And if you want more of the best coverage of football in the state of Texas, check out TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe.